The clothes paint a picture before you even open your mouth, basically. That is your story that you're telling the world. You can wear any colour that exists. It's where you wear it and how you wear it. Everyone can look like the best version of themselves, regardless of their shape, regardless of their size, even regardless of their budget. It's about finding a look and a formula that works for you and thinking, what is my message? Who do I want to be?
If you've ever doubted your confidence in how you dress or struggled to walk into a room with full energy, this episode is for you. We are exploring how personal style goes beyond the clothes. It's about the radiating, fearless, ageless energy from within. Today's guest is Elin, founder and CEO of Style Doctors, a global personal styling empire with a thriving business in London, New York, Miami, and UAE. Launching her business at just 23, Elin has styled over 8,000 clients, including royalty and high-profile figures. But there's so much more to her story. In recent years, Elin has stepped into the world of transformation coaching, empowering women to shine with beauty from the inside out.
Fear and excitement cause a similar reaction in the body. They create adrenaline, sweaty palms, your heart's beating a bit faster, fear and excitement. The only difference is how you frame that story. Fearlessness is very personal. Our levels of fearlessness are very different, and I think that we have a lack of understanding of what being fearless is. When it comes to fear and limitations, you have stories going on in your head, okay? Nobody knows about those things, but each interaction you're having with someone, they're at the back of your mind. And what people don't remember is that everyone else has that as well. So you go in with almost your baggage and your story.
Exactly.
When in fact, if you almost go into every conversation, every situation and thinking, nobody cares. Nobody cares. You decide when you're old.
It's a decision.
It's a decision. The eldest client I've ever worked with was 85.
Oh.
She was fabulous. Be very intentional about why you're doing what you're setting out to do. Don't start something because you're in a bad place. Start something because you think it's a really great idea and you think you can make a difference with it. When the pandemic hits, and no shops means no business for us, you know? So I remember just looking at my mum and thinking, oh, is this it now? What am I going to do? And tears just streaming down my eyes, you know? Just, what am I going to do? I was hospitalised with a kidney infection at one point, and I didn't have anyone helping me at that time answering the phones. So picture this, Serena. I was in the hospital in a little garden, drip in my arm like this, picking up the phone, hello, Style Doctors, still answering the phone, being admin. And my mum and my sister were looking at me thinking, what is she doing? And I think it's that resilience and that determination that keeps me going, you know? It's the not taking no for an answer. It's that pushing through all the time and thinking, right, okay, there is something else we can do.
Welcome back to another inspiring episode of Women in the Penthouse, where we explore stories of fearless transformation, limitless growth, and ageless living. We are passionate about bringing more powerful, incredible women's stories to this podcast, and we need your help to make that happen. If you found value in this episode, please hit the subscribe button or share it with a woman who needs to hear it. Someone who might feel stuck in her current life, but is craving for a fearless, limitless future, living fully in her own voice. Your support goes beyond helping the podcast grow. It's a part of a larger movement. Together, we are building a community that transforms lives and inspires even more women to rise to their full potential, one conversation at a time. So get ready for a conversation that will inspire you to live a fearless, limitless, and ageless life, inside out. Let's dive in. Welcome, Elin, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Serena.
I'm super excited to have you here.
Likewise.
We've been talking about this for a while, right?
We have indeed. So I'm very grateful that I'm here today talking to you.
So how's New Year so far?
This year's been good so far. It's full of challenges, full of ups and downs, just like every year is. But I'm looking forward to the rest of the year.
Okay, I can see you're glowing.
Thank you.
So Elin, at age 23, you started your personal styling business, right? And it is now a global empire operating in different cities like London, New York, Miami, and UAE. And you've personally consulted more than 8,000 clients.
That's right. Yeah.
And recent years, but interestingly, you have pivoted your career into transformational coach. It's such an interesting journey. So maybe let's start by telling us a little bit more about your personal journey.
Absolutely.
Maybe start from your childhood.
Start at the very beginning, shall we? Okay.
Yeah.
So, background, I grew up in a very small village in Anglesey in North Wales. So it's close to that place that's got the very, very long name, basically. Mm-hmm. So it's called Llanfairpwll Gwyngyll Gogerach Wyndrabwyll Sant Cecilia Gogogoch. That's the name of a real place, which is near where
Look
I'm
at
from.
my face.
Okay, exactly. So very small village. Fashion, you wouldn't say was top of the agenda where I grew up, but I was always interested in it. Always interested from a young age. Mum used to dress me and my sister up. We always used to be interested in fashion. We used to go shopping most weekends. From a young age, I used to make clothes and I used to design them. Fast forward then to university. I was either going to do fashion journalism or sports, but that's another story for another life. But I decided to do fashion design with technology. So I went to university in Manchester, left my little farmhouse, I guess, on a remote island and went to Manchester to study fashion. Absolutely loved it. Loved being away. Did 3 years in Manchester, a year down in London, where I worked for Arcadia, which was obviously the biggest fashion company going then, trend forecasting company as well. And then, went back to Manchester for my 4th year. And then soon after graduating, I started styling because styling was a big part of what we did as part of our course because it was quite an all-encompassing course because we did costing, we did business, we did technology, we did styling. But it was always the styling I was more interested in.
Okay.
So I started styling for TV and magazines. And then because I was from Wales, I started
That's still in your university?
I'd left by then.
Okay.
Yeah, left by then. And then I started to work for a television company.
Okay.
And then I was doing a lot of TV stuff then as well.
Okay.
And then very soon after that, Style Doctors was born. So I said it was born because it almost feels like a baby by now, that it's 21 years old this year.
Ooh.
Yeah. And at the time, I wanted to combine my love for fashion. I've got 2 loves in life, Serena. They're people and they're fashion. And I wanted to combine those 2 things, basically. And there was nothing like it at the time. There were celebrity stylists for people that were very wealthy, but there was nothing for real everyday people to help them develop their personal style. And that's why Style Doctors came about. So that's kind of the first part of my journey. And then fast forward now to the last kind of 2 years, I've now transitioned into coaching as well, which has been a fairly natural transition because for 20 years, essentially, I was working one-on-one with people very intensely. People think that clothes and the way that you show up is very surface level. There are so many stories I could tell you, Serena, about how many lives have been transformed just by opening up their wardrobe and being able to transform their style by making them feel good about themselves. So in a way, I had been coaching for most of my career, but in a different way. And then I actually retrained as a coach at the Henley School of Business and then became a coach in the last 2 years as well.
Such an intriguing journey. So you once said, like, you refused to let your mom dress you after age 3. Is that true?
Absolutely, yes. So she used to try and dress me and my sister the same always. I secretly think she wanted us to look like twins, but we look nothing alike. So it was never going to happen. So she did dress us very well, but I had opinions on everything. And I carried on with those opinions.
So what is your style then like?
My style then?
Yeah.
I was experimental.
Okay.
And I think that is the interesting thing about style, Serena, is that people look at other people and think, oh, she looks stylish, she looks effortless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see someone in the street and think, oh, wow, she always looks put together. Style takes work, just like everything else in life.
Okay.
But we automatically think when we look at someone, oh, she just pulls it together. When in fact, you don't know about the multiple outfits that are still on the bed in that person's home that they've taken on and off, or the work that they've done on themselves to actually build that as well. So just like anything else in life, whether it's fitness, whether it's weight loss, anything, self-development, it takes work. And that's the same with style.
So it could be learned.
It can be
it's
learned.
a practice.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And there's a science behind it, you know. I've got clients that I've been working with for 15 plus years. I still see them. And some people say to me, yeah, but why do they still need to see you, Elin? Shouldn't you have taught them what they need to know by now? But that's not what style is. When I meet someone for the first time, personal styling is about turning the volume up on them, where they are now, and understanding where they are now. It's not about me looking at you and think, okay, we're going to do a dramatic transformation. We're going to change your hair colour. You're going to come out always wearing kind of, you know, sequins and glitter and glam. That would be too much, because that journey from A to B is a step too far. So what we do with styling is we turn up the volume. Every single time we work with someone, we turn up the volume. So that happens. So if anyone's listening to this now, that would be a tip that I would say is you'd like to think about what your end goal is in terms of how you would want to look. But you've got to implement small steps that will actually get you there in terms of your style as well. Because if you go all out and do a huge transformation, it's too much. It's too much of a shock for you. And it's certainly too much of a shock for other people around you.
And now I understand why it's so relevant to coaching.
Absolutely.
You also need to find where it could be turned up, right, the volume. Yeah, it's interesting. So back to your childhood, you said you grew from a small town, right? So you also mentioned it's completely different from London fashion. So we all have like childhood talent we thought we have. Like you have it, you may think you already have it like 3 years old, at 3 years old. But maybe a lot of people just don't turn it into an occupation. So how can you be so affirmed, so sure about this journey or your path?
I think it was a lot to do with my surroundings and my upbringing. I'm the eldest of 3 children.
Okay. Big sister.
Big sis.
So
yeah.
2 brothers or
a sister and
sister
then a brother,
and
yes. And when I look back on my childhood, I was never told you can't do this because you're a girl. You can't do that. No, you're a girl, you can't do that. Oh, no, girls don't do that. So there was that. When I was at school as well, in primary years, there were a lot of boys in my class, much more. It was disproportionate in terms of boys and girls. And I was very competitive. And I didn't know the difference between me and the boys. So I would always want to make sure that I was beating them. I remember even one time we had a competition to make a land yacht that would fly the fastest across the schoolyard, basically. And I worked so hard on it and I built it and I really wanted to win because winning was so important to me. And I wanted to win against the boys. Why? Especially as well.
Why do you think winning is so important?
Because I think that winning gave me a sense of achievement. And especially being, let's say, an only girl amongst, let's say, a group of boys, I wanted to kind of say, yeah, I can, I can beat you. This is an equal playing field. So I think that that's kind of put me, in a good starting place, that I was never told you can't do this because of this. I think I have people around me, even to this day, they believe in everything I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I've won 2 jackpots in life, Serena. Number 1 jackpot is my family. Number 2 jackpot, my friends, my best friend in particular.
So you have a very good supporting system. Even you don't let your mom dress you, but she seemingly she's a supportive mom.
Absolutely.
Like didn't give you a lot of limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's great. So, give us one maybe transformation defining moment you think which make the person you today?
I think when you're an entrepreneur, and I talk about this a lot, I had to grow up very quickly. When I was young, I was 23 when I started my business, but my clients were usually 20, 30 years older. I was interacting with people that were at the top of their careers, and I was at beginning of mine, basically. So that, on a daily basis, I was working with people that were working in oil and gas. People were heads of banking, people that were at the top of their game. And I had to rise myself up to be able to reflect that. And I had to be able to absorb that information and be able to converse with these people. Even though they were coming to me for advice, every single interaction I had with all of those clients made me who I am today. So I'm so thankful for those relationships that I built, because there was a period in my life that I would start every story with, well, my client says, or my client says. I'm the kind of person that learns from listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's why the transition into coaching has worked so well, because I'll tell you a secret, I don't like reading, Serena. I really don't like it. I like listening to people.
Okay.
I like listening to conversations other people are having. I like listening and learning. And I think that through listening is how I've learned a lot along the way. There have been some key transitional points in my career that questioned whether I was doing the right thing. 2 years after starting my business, I knew that I wanted to grow the business very quickly, Style Doctors. So I took someone on. First person I employed came with me on a session. Everything went well, fantastic. I found out later that she'd been back to the client's house because she'd forgotten something there.
Oh.
A few weeks later, I found out that she had copied our exact business, created a similar website with a different name, but very similar branding, and was doing exactly the same thing, basically.
Okay.
So essentially kind of, took the concept and put it out there and repackaged it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned kind of very quickly in business that to be able to grow and to evolve a business, you need the right people around you. And you need to make sure that you're making the right choices as well. So that was a pivotal moment kind of in my career. So
it's all about the people supporting you, the system.
Absolutely.
But also you said every person shape you, the current version of you.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Yeah, so what is the first obstacle? Yeah, I think maybe we can leave this to the next part. So if there's one word to summarize your journey, top of mind.
Inspirational.
Mm-hmm. Inspirational.
Mm.
Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, so thank you for this is the general introduction. We it's so good to know you the generally the journey is, and in Women in the Penthouse we have 3 keywords, which is fearless, Limitless and Ageless. So we will talk about it one by one. So we'll start from fearless. Actually, I think we already touched a bit about that because obviously you have quite a brave journey. So when I say courage, fearless, how do you define that?
Fearlessness for me is being able to put yourself in a situation that you know is a bit uncomfortable, but you know that it's going to push you and make you a better person because of that. Being fearless is like standing behind a door. Close your eyes and imagine that you're behind a door.
Mm-hmm.
And you open the door, and the door is fear, but on the other side are opportunities. But if you don't open that door, fear will always keep you closed in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a door to other opportunities.
And push it. Okay, that's beautiful. So you started you mentioned a bit actually just now. I want to talk more about that. You started a business very young, 23. And what kind of, you definitely have, at that young age, a lot of new challenges rise at that time. So give us example, like kind of fear or doubt you had at the time.
Just to put it into perspective, 2004, we started the business. There was no YouTube in 2004. There was no Facebook in 2004.
Yeah.
The only resources I had were library, the people around me, and anything I could access online. There are nearly 15 billion videos now on YouTube. You can type in anything and learn almost anything. But learning was very different then. And especially transitioning from quite a creative background into running a business. You know, so there were so many challenges in terms of understanding how to set up a business, how to go out there and do it. But I love the challenge. Someone said to me recently, Elin, you find everything interesting. Why is that? As if there's something wrong with that. And I said, I just do. I find everything interesting. Not just everything, but everyone. And I think there's something to be learnt in everything. So that being able to learn how to grow a business and understand how to do it with limited resources back then was fascinating to me. Even Serena, and when I have new starters starting with a company, they laugh at this. Social media advertising is free now. You know, we can post anything and it's a free advert to promote your business. I remember spending nearly £1,000 on a credit card size advert in the back of Vogue for 1 month. Nearly £1,000 back then. For 1 month. Text ad only. The world has changed, and significantly as well. So the way that you market yourself and your brand has changed as well. So I've had to evolve. But the thing is,
you're so young. You don't have like, I don't know whether you have like start up the money funding. How can you be like so determined or courageous like to spend that money or, yeah?
I'll tell you a secret. I never had a plan B. Never. And I don't usually have a plan B when I go into something. Because I have such a belief that something's going to work. I don't think, if this doesn't work, let me do this instead, or let me do this. I failed many, many times, like any entrepreneur or business person will tell you. You know, J.K. Rowling, she pitched a book to 12 people before, you know?
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs on average fail much more than people that aren't. But that's because we put ourselves up for failure. But we learn from failures. And unless you learn, you don't grow. We could be here for weeks if I listed all my failures to you, Serena. But
list us the biggest one at that time. Yeah.
At the time
when you just started your business. Yeah.
This wasn't necessarily when I started even, because there's lessons to be learned all the time.
Okay.
Huge boardroom full of people. lots of marketing execs, very important people in this room. Me and my colleague were called in because they wanted to bring us as a styling agency onto this project. The first line the person in charge said was, "We know this project isn't going to work, but we have a budget for it." I should have walked out that moment. But unfortunately, we were brought on as the fall people. This project, as you can imagine, unravelled and didn't turn out to be what it should have been. My biggest regret from that is how I put my team in a difficult position.
Mm-hmm.
And how I potentially made them lose sleep over this as well because of the demands that was put upon them. So even to this day, I have regrets. My voice is choking up thinking about it. The position I put my team in is regrettable because I should have been able to look at that opportunity and think, no, we should back away from this. But when you're trying to build something, you take opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make them work because there's a belief in you that you want to make things work. And you think, no, I can make this work. So I look back on that and I think I should have looked after my team better.
Yeah. But it seems so fearless. Yeah. So for young girls now who want to start their business but have the fear or doubt of their capability, what is one piece of advice you can give them?
I think people need to be very clear about why they're doing it in the first place. Being a CEO now is so commonly used. I see it in everyone's bio, CEO of a one-person company.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's a CEO these days. That's what they say. Be very intentional about why you're doing what you're setting out to do. If you're doing it because you're currently in a bad place or a bad situation, hate your job and want to do something else,
Mm-hmm.
don't start something because you're in a bad place. Start something because you think it's a really great idea and you think you can make a difference with it.
Okay, how are you so sure at that time? I'm still sorry. Maybe I'm repeating it, but it's very interesting. How are you so sure about that?
About starting a business,
yeah,
you mean?
yeah.
I think that people around me would tell you, Elin, you can't work for anyone else. You cannot work for anyone else. That it's just not in me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes when you meet certain people, you realise that they can't work for anyone else.
When did you started to realize that? Let's see.
I think it was from a relatively young age,
Mm-hmm.
that competitive edge in me was always there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't always have to be number one. I was happy being second, but I never wanted to be third. I'd be content being second at everything, but I wouldn't be happy being third. So I think it developed, from a young age,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And it's that belief as well that I was doing a good thing with Style Doctors. I wasn't just taking people out and spending their money.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said to me once, "Oh, you spend money for a living. What a nice thing to do." And I didn't know what to say at the time. And I just wish I could have said to that person, spend a day with me and see the transformation that happens when you actually work with me. And I think that, for anyone, give me half an hour with anyone, Serena, anyone, and I can make them look and feel like the best version of themselves. Half an hour, that's all I need, basically.
How?
Yes.
I'm curious.
How? because I can marry the skills that I've learnt in terms of how to present someone and how to make them look like the best version of themselves, but tie that in with the confidence that I bring in with my coaching as well. So when you can marry those two things, you can really help someone become the best version of themselves. And I think that I'm blessed with an energy. And I say I'm blessed with it because I don't know where it comes from, you know, but I have an energy and I get energy off other people as well. And that's why I think I struggle so much with this online business because, and we've talked about this before, I really, really love real in-person connections because of the energy that's shared between people. As an entrepreneur, and I'm coaching entrepreneurs on similar things now, it's an incredibly lonely place. And
Exactly.
I wish...
Do you have like, you're already like 23 years, right? 20, almost 23 years.
Yeah.
Do you have one moment you think, oh, the business was over? And
The tears I've cried, I can't tell you how many tears I've cried.
Oh.
Yeah. Several. And it's always ongoing, you know, because you have to pivot, you have to shift. If you think about how many global brands closed down post-pandemic because people don't go shopping into shops anymore. People shop online. You know, the brands that we grew up with, people like Topshop and people like that, gone, you know. But I'm proud that I'm still here after that time. Is it exactly where I want it to be in this moment?
So you did cry.
I cried.
Because when I look at all your photos, I told you, right, they're all glamorous, or I feel like this the stunning Elin. But definitely there's vulnerable moments.
Oh, without a doubt. I remember when the pandemic hit, and no shops means no business for us, you know? So I remember just looking at my mum and thinking, oh, is this it now? What am I going to do? And tears just streaming down my eyes, you know? Just, what am I going to do? But that lasted a few minutes. Got myself together. I pivoted and I moved on. And I think it's that resilience and that determination that keeps me going, you know? It's the not taking no for an answer. It's that pushing through all the time and thinking, right, okay, there is something else we can do.
What do you think is the key misperception held by people about being fearless or take the courage to change?
I think the biggest misconception is that you've got to make a big deal about it, and that you've got to make a big grand gesture and tell everyone, and that everyone has to be part of this fearless journey with you.
We should, you said.
No, that is the biggest
The
misconception.
biggest mistake, okay.
Fearlessness is very personal. So it's your own fear. What's going on inside here? That's the important thing. It's a misconception that you have to tell the world what you're doing. You can work on yourself without telling everyone what you're doing, and you can be fearless in your own way. Perhaps being fearless to someone is having the courage to ask for the bill in a restaurant because they're usually too shy to do that. Or plucking up the courage to talk to someone when we're in a bar. Our levels of fearlessness are very different, and I think that we have a lack of understanding of what being fearless is, and lack of empathy towards that as well. You know, Serena, I get so annoyed, is the word, I suppose, on my, you know, LinkedIn, kind of scrolling at LinkedIn every day. It's almost becoming, to me, like another Instagram, in the sense that people are boasting about their successful lives. People are saying what everyone is doing wrong. If I opened up my phone now, I can guarantee you that the top 10 posts would be, what a leader is doing wrong, what you're doing wrong with your life, why you're not succeeding. It's negative, 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 negative. And I think that, thank goodness that most of the leaders I actually know don't have time to actually go on LinkedIn, because I feel like they would read it and think, wow, okay, I am a human being as well, and I'm trying to do the best. But I think that we're in a place now where people are trying to find people's pain points. And in business, that's what you're told. You're told to see, okay, what is your consumer's pain points?
Sorry, back to that. So why is that so annoying?
I think it's not understanding that whether you're a leader, whether you're a middle manager, whoever you are, you're still a human being. And I think it's very easy for people to use ChatGPT, create, posts that tell leaders what they should do, probably from their bedrooms by themselves, and telling all these leaders what they should do, and not understanding that that leader's actually a human being and a person as well. And it's just because by situation after situation, we're probably working hard, that they've got to that leadership position. But they were once like everyone else as well. So yes, there are good leaders, yes, there are bad ones, but I think there's a bit of we're going through a time now where everyone is trying to kind of hit home what to do for people. And as a coach, I know fully well, and as you do, we'd all be successful if we learned the 5, steps to becoming successful.
Yeah.
Or if we all watch these videos that say how to make $1 million in a year. But we're not.
I think it's related to what you mentioned, a very interesting point. Like fearless is very personal, right? It's everyone has their personal thing there. And you mentioned also at the beginning, be courageous is push that door. I think it's very good. So what if people standing there, they just cannot push the door? What, like, we all want to change our life, like chase that dream, like you mentioned, even order different food in the restaurant. That's very, very, but what if we are standing there, I know I want to go there, but I just, it kind of stuck there. What is one piece of advice you can give to our audience?
I would ask them to ask themselves the question, what feels worse? Standing where you are now at that crossroads, or making that decision? It's usually standing where you are now. It feels far worse, because you wouldn't be asking the question if you didn't want to make that change. So you're in a place already. So making that decision and taking that step forward is going to progress you and push you forward into where you want it to be.
Yeah.
So don't stand at that crossroads.
Interesting. And you mentioned it's very personal. You also, everyone's different fear, right? You also work with a lot of high-profile clients, including royalty, celebrities. So tell us a bit more about some stories, like.
Well, I've signed many
fear.
NDAs, Serena, so I'm not allowed to talk about everything
yeah,
that goes
I know,
on.
of course. Just I don't expect all the details, specific names, but people might be curious.
But you know what? Human beings are the same. Their wants, their needs, their desires, how they want to be perceived are the same, regardless of how much wealth they have, how much notoriety they have. Someone that's part of a royal family, for example, will ask the same question in a fitting room that someone that's, a stay-at-home mum, for example. They will ask the same questions to me in that fitting room, because deep down as humans, we're all very, very similar. We want similar things.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've worked with some amazing people, and some of the things that they've worn have been seen on huge global stages as well. And that feels like a huge achievement as well, because what I do as a personal stylist is not...
What kind of when you're saying that we're the same, so they all have their not confident moment, right?
Yeah.
So what are those like their... How do you address those kind of challenge?
When someone's unsure, you mean, about
Yeah,
how they...
yeah.
My job is 50% creativity, 50% understanding people. When I take on new stylists, they could be the best stylists in the world. I've had stylists that have worked for Rihanna, Beyonce, so many different people interviewing for me. They've not got the job because they can't interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's being able to interact with people and tailor how you deliver what you're delivering to them, basically. If you came out of a fitting room, for me now, and you were looking a little bit unsure like this, I already know how you're feeling. Mm-hmm. So then it's my job to be able to lift you, reassure you, and make you understand how good you look. Or if someone comes out adjusting everything they've got on and feeling uncomfortable and going, oh my gosh, it took so long to get this on, I know that you're not going to be comfortable in that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So then I pivot. So it's basically understanding who you're working with and mirroring them then as well. Okay. There are some people that you can be laughy and jokey with, other people that perhaps you can't. At the very beginning of my career, going back, I probably wasn't as laughy and jokey. I'm not a serious person, Serena, at all. I laugh at everything. I think everything's funny, you know? But I had to tone that down a little bit when I was young, when I was working with, you know, people that were far more senior to me. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Does that answer your question?
That's a practical tip, actually. Okay. It's my next question. It's my next question. Like, if people want to, anything we can do today, maybe practical tip to be more fearless or to be more confident.
Wow.
To make change.
Yeah, they're huge things. Confidence comes with practice as well. Mm-hmm. All of these things, we're not born with it. I wrote a post on this yesterday. I love public speaking, but I wasn't born with a microphone in my hand. I did it from a young age. When you're Welsh, there's this thing called the Eisteddfod. It's like a singing and dancing competition that goes throughout the country. You sing, you dance, you go on stage, you compete, you recite. Even at school, you sing in front of other people. It's a big part of the culture, doing it in front of other people. So being in front of other people and pushing myself out there was something I did from a young age. I was on TV from the age of 21, and that's continued. So that confidence wasn't just in me. It's been built over time, basically. And I think we're in a time, Serena, where everyone wants quick wins. Everyone wants quick wins for everything.
But how people can start practicing, my point is, because I think you mentioned a few times, I completely agree, like those even style we need to practice, right? Confidence, fearlessness, absolutely. We need to practice. How, if they don't have a supporting system, a lot of people may not have supporting very supporting family when they grow up. So maybe naturally have this confidence issue. How we can start today to tell ourselves or start practice or build a discipline, I would say.
So when it comes to fear, let's begin with that one then. Fear and excitement cause a similar reaction in the body. I was thinking about this on the way here even, okay? I can't tell the difference between fear and excitement because they create adrenaline, sweaty palms, your heart's beating a bit faster. Fear and excitement. The only difference is how you frame that story. Are you telling yourself, oh, I'm nervous, that's why my heart's beating really slow. Oh, I'm nervous, I can't breathe. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do next? Or are you telling yourself, yeah, I can't wait, I'm so excited, my heart's beating fast, I'm feeling pumped, I'm feeling really up for this. So it's the narrative that you create. So if someone's listening and they're thinking, or they're in a situation where they think, I do have a lot of fear about this, tell yourself a positive story rather than the negative one. We always go to the negative one. So if you reframe it and think, okay, what is the positive in this situation? Then you will see that there would be a difference. You can even make a list, Serena, of 4 things that you're fearful about. And next to those things then, you could then say, what small actions could I take to take me from there to there? Again, it could be...
Sorry, list down 4 things.
4 things that you're fearful about.
Yeah, fearful about. Then?
On the other side, a tiny little step that will help you get closer to overcoming that fear then.
Like for
everyone.
For everyone,
yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to achieve them straight away, but you need to push yourself and go out there and try and do them. And like I said, it could be something so simple, like asking for the bill in a restaurant or talking to someone at work that you've never talked to before.
And celebrate the wins.
Absolutely.
Like when you did it.
Absolutely.
Even it's such a small thing, right? But you just did it.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's wonderful. So we will move to the second part. It's about limitless, So when I say limitless, how do you define limitless? How do you think a limitless life look like?
I think a limitless life is living without edges, or living outside the confines of a box, for example, and being able to feel like you can do anything, you can achieve anything, and that almost anything is possible. And I think when you have that belief, it goes back to the framing, Serena. When you frame things in a certain way, anything is possible.
Frame?
Yeah.
Frame or unframe?
Frame. When you frame things,
in a certain
the way that you frame things, so the way that you tell yourself a story. Because when it comes to fear and limitations, you have stories going on in your head, okay? You might have things going on in your life now that you're focusing on.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about those things, but each interaction you're having with someone, they're at the back of your mind. And what people don't remember is that everyone else has that as well. So you go in with almost your baggage and your story.
Exactly.
When in fact, if you almost go into every conversation, every situation, and thinking, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Exactly.
Then you can have open conversations.
Yeah, we talk about that. It's all about our subconscious engaging with each other, right? We didn't realize that. But you're quite a limitless person. You said you moved from small town to the big city, right? And at that time, do you have a limited belief from your social environment in the small town? Definitely, right? Could you give us maybe one example, like how you rewrite, like you said, your story?
So I think I was lucky in the sense that I travelled a lot when I was young. I wasn't just brought up in a village and never left, I travelled every school holiday, every summer holiday. Most weekends we would go somewhere. And I think travel and being able to understand how other people live, how other cultures, operate and interact with each other, and seeing different places helped me see that there's a bigger, wider world out there. I remember saying when I was young, and I feel bad about saying this, I said, I don't want to live here. Why do I live in a village? It's not fair,
That's funny, but I think it's, I saw the picture.
You saw it, yeah. I wasn't a brat, I promise you I wasn't, but I think that was perhaps my yearning for wanting, so much. And I loved the city. We would come to London so much, and I just knew that I knew that I wasn't destined to live in a small village, So I always saw the future.
But back to the question, like, is there a moment like you realize, oh, this is not right, like this is I was told. Oh, I can be more, it's a limitation I set for myself.
It seems like you're asking the question because you're coming from
I
something.
I have a limitation.
Yeah.
That's a good one. No, I'm just interested. Yeah, I think in like recent years you've been doing coaching. It's also quite a limitless thing. I'm very interested to know that journey. Like, do you have like a spiritual awakening moment, or what make you into this industry?
As I kind of mentioned, it seemed like a natural transition.
But do you have like a
pivotal moment?
Yeah.
I've had several in my life, Serena. I'll have to try and tell this story without crying. I was working with a client once, and I went into her house and I was doing her wardrobe. So one of the services that we offer is we go around to someone's house, we look through your wardrobe, but we put outfits together using the clothes that you've got, photographing them. So you don't have to do any work then. You look at separate outfits and everything's done for you, accessories, everything. So you can look and feel your best every single day. So I knew the client was sick, but I didn't know how sick, and I had worked with her before. And her mum had left the room, and she said, Elin, don't tell my mum, but my cancer's incurable.
Oh.
And I've got a few weeks to live. And I want to look my best for the last few weeks of my life. And that's why she'd got me there, to style her for her last few weeks on earth.
Wow, that's so emotional story.
Yeah. So, I've got so many stories like that where I've worked with some amazing people and I've been allowed into their space and being able to shape, something so special that for her to be able to kind of do that and feel good for the rest of her time on this earth, I remember walking back to my car afterwards, and I just sat in it and I just cried. Because I was composed, obviously, when I was in the house, because I was there to just listen and do my job as a stylist. But it was moments like that. And I've worked with several people. I've worked with people that have transitioned. People that are completely in a dark place that I've helped them. And this was before I started coaching even, people that have changed identities, people that have had to flee from other places or violent relationships and set up a completely new life and a persona elsewhere. And I've been able to be part of that journey as well. And I think it's all of those journeys and being able to be part and understand these human beings that has helped me become empathetic, helped me become a good listener, which are essential qualities for being a coach.
That's very touching. Yes. So, yeah, I want to cry too. That story.
Yeah.
So it's like the human connection.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So back to the limitless topic. So, we are told, like we discussed this. Sometimes it's a story in your mind. So, what is one thing maybe we can do to remind us to be limitless?
I think being present is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And by being present, I mean being present in the moment in real life now. I don't mean scrolling on your phone and living your life through other people's. Comparison really is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
So when you're comparing yourself to other things that are going on that might not even be real, and you're really missing out on this moment, then I think that that's where we're going wrong. So it's being present. That's the beginning of everything. If you can't be present now, then you can't be limitless.
But we have so many distractions. Like you said, the social media are all negative, right? So sometimes we know we want to be present. This is maybe part of your coaching, I think.
And it goes back to what I said as well about intention.
Yeah.
You have to be intentional with being present.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just be in a conversation with someone, for example, and be concentrating on other things. If you're having a conversation with someone, put your phone away. Actually listen to that person. I particularly love the work of Nancy Klein, when her work of Time to Think, and she works with huge organisations, and it's all essentially about giving the person that you're with the time to think, the time to talk. She even suggests that couples, when they come home from work, for example, give the other person 15 minutes uninterrupted. And I mean uninterrupted. So you're not allowed to talk at all for 15 minutes. They can talk, tell you about their day, tell you about everything while you just listen. And then you flip the switch and they do it. And apparently, in terms of relationships, that can solidify relationships because the power of listening and being present in that moment enriches those relationships then. And I've witnessed that. If you give people time, they feel loved. And that's essentially what we want. We want to feel listened to.
That's the power of being present, right? So you're in the coaching business now, but people may have some perception, like looking glamorous and being spiritual. That somehow maybe there's some contradiction. What is your opinion about that? Take myself, for example. I have to admit, I do have a certain period of my life. I was literally dressed to impress. You know, I was really seeking like looking glamorous, like looking gorgeous. But when I look back, I also realized that's also kind of the period I was vulnerable inside. I was seeking attention from literally everyone. My friend sometimes tease me like, oh, you don't know, like when you work into the place, you was like, oh, look at me, that kind of thing. So, but when personally, like when I was kind of more have this, I'm so grateful to have this kind of spiritual journey. So you realize, oh, this is more like a cover, right? Of course, I still like beautiful things, but you don't have that kind of urge to really dress to impress, right? So, of course, I know your styling work is more like looking people. So I'm just curious, what is the balance? Is there like a balance point or?
It's a tool, like everything else, Serena. Whatever you wear when you leave the house in the morning, anyone listening to this now, they can look down and see what they're wearing. They've made a conscious decision to put what they're putting on. That is your story that you're telling the world, basically. The clothes paint a picture before you even open your mouth, basically.
That's
you know,
beautiful.
94% of communication is nonverbal. You know, it's the way we sit, what we wear, everything basically. So it provides such a strong message. But I would ask the person as well, who are you dressing for first and foremost? If you're dressing for yourself, then that's fantastic. For me, I also dress for the situation because I see it as a sign of respect. Because if I know I'm going somewhere or I'm meeting someone, it makes me feel my very best. For example, I'll wear certain colours. If I'm doing a talk on stage, for example, there are certain colours I would never wear. I would wear red quite often. I would wear strong kind of metallic colours quite often because they evoke a certain feeling in the audience. So I work with a lot of individuals that do a lot of TED Talks and presentations, and we work very carefully on the colours that they're going to be wearing based on the message that they want to project as well.
Okay.
So the visual has a huge connection to what's coming out of you when you're presenting as well.
It's integrated design. It's the whole...
Absolutely. But the fine line, Serena, is still making it feel authentic to you. That is where so many people get it wrong. Because when people move up the career ladder, or when people, let's say, get notoriety, for example, that, you know, that they never used to be in the public eye, but now they're in the public eye, but they never had a chance really to develop their personal style. It all feels very unnatural and put together, so they look uncomfortable constantly. You know, I'm very comfortable in what I'm wearing now. I can make myself look very uncomfortable by changing my body language. So body language has a huge amount to do with it as well. I've worked with people that, let's say nurses, doctors, people that wear a uniform. They wear a uniform for, let's say, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And they do that almost every day. I would work with people that would wear scrubs, nurses' uniforms, etc. They would come to us, and do you know what they'd always say? I just want to look casual and put together. But because they never dressed like that in their everyday life, they were always in a uniform, they struggled so much finding their identity through their clothes because their identity was given to them at work, basically. So I work with a lot of people that they might be in their late 30s, 40s, even 50s, that have worn uniforms throughout their career and they've not developed their own personal sense of style. And that goes back to what I said before about, it's about practice. It's about experimenting. It's about turning up the volume.
And it's so beautiful. You said you are creating a story to the world by what you dress and what you deliver. And you also mentioned a very important word, authenticity. I want to know a little bit more. So authentic, you said sometimes people don't feel authentic. So what is the key, maybe one key for authenticity dressing?
Authenticity is being able to put on an outfit and forget that you're wearing it. I can guarantee now that there are people listening that have put on an outfit and they've been like this in it, adjusting it, thinking, oh, I shouldn't have put this bra on, and lifting it up, or, oh gosh, I wish I would have put on other pair of trousers because these are too tight. Oh, do you think I could open this button on this jacket, for example? If you're adjusting that outfit, you're not comfortable in it. Comfort is the main factor.
Yeah.
Because if we were in an interview situation now and I was adjusting and I was wriggling and I was uncomfortable and I was lifting my jacket and I was moving, for you as someone that's interviewing me then, you would be looking at me thinking, hang on, why is this person wriggling? Why are they so uncomfortable? It's taking away from the message that they're trying to deliver, basically. So you need to feel so at ease in what you're wearing that it almost feels like a second skin.
Yeah, that's the word I want to say.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like I always have my like second skin dress. Yeah, yeah, you can feel that. I think it's about energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. So we'll move to the third topic. It's about ageless. So ageless living. What is the definition?
I truly believe that age is nothing but a number.
Mm-hmm. Do
Might
you
say
when you were
differently in 20 years' time, who knows? But I feel the fittest I've ever felt right now, the strongest I've ever felt, the happiest potentially I've ever felt as well. I mean, Serena, I'm not an unhappy person anyway. I usually walk around at a 9 or a 10 anyway, every single day in terms of happiness, even when I possibly should be too. I'm just always happy, you know? That's just who I am. But I think that not thinking about it is the most important thing.
don't think about age.
Don't think about age. I see people, you know, mentioning, oh, I'm 30, I should have achieved this, I should have achieved this, I should have achieved this. Is there a big book that we're supposed to all be following about what we're supposed to achieve by a certain age? I don't think there is. You create your own path and your own journey and your own book. It doesn't matter what age you do it at. You can achieve so many different things. There are so many incredible businesswomen that have started their multi-million-dollar businesses in their 50s. You know, there's no end to when you can keep doing things. And someone told me this once, and I do believe it's true. You decide when you're old.
You what?
You decide when you're old.
It's a decision.
It's a decision. That
Yeah.
some people might wake up when they're 27 and think, okay, I'm old now. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to.
We talk about that. We talk about that. I think 30 is always kind of tricky. It's not old. Like at least when I used to think about 30, it's like a milestone, right? We still have this definition of age. Like at a certain age, you should do something. Yeah.
But I think when you get to a certain age, you have to ask your friends, how old am I again? That you almost forget, you know?
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's about being healthy, being happy, laughing a lot. I don't think people laugh enough. And surrounding yourself with people that keep you feeling energized as well. If you surround yourself with people that are negative, that don't necessarily want the best for you or for themselves, and that's a difficult place to be.
You have anyone in your life is a symbol of ageless?
I think everyone around me is ageless, you know.
Oh, wow.
That everyone around me is vivacious and they're full of life and they're young, and I think we feed off each other. That everyone feels like they're young and youthful, you know. And I think that goes back to potentially that feeling of feeling limitless. That you just feel like you can do anything. Why not? You know?
Yeah. I will go back to that classic story. I mentioned one thing in the podcast. I was in Vegas, and there's an Uber driver. She looked like 40, maybe less than 40, but she is actually 58, I think. But she told me at that very moment, she said, every decade is better. And genuinely, I think that's really something, it's an epiphany moment for me. I feel like, wow, it's something good is waiting for us there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that enjoy where you're at now. That's the thing. Enjoy this moment because you'll never get it back. Us being here now, we'll never get this back. So be present, enjoy it. Your 30s, they were there. They were memories, and they were part of you, but you've got so much more to come as well. And I think that if you're either living in the past or living in the future too much or living online too much, you're not living now. And I think now is the time.
being in the now is forgetting about the age and time. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to put these legs away yet, Serena.
So we must discuss this, how to dress agelessly.
Yeah.
Right? We all, as I think maybe we have some certain perception, like at what age we should wear certain things. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
There are so many rules. You should cut off all your hair the minute you hit 40. You should never wear black, after reaching a certain age. When it comes to colour, I met hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have had their colours done in the past. And they'd carry around little books with them. And they'd say, I'm not allowed to wear black. Why are you not allowed to wear black? Or they'd say, I can't wear this shade of blue. For anyone listening, you can wear any colour that exists. It's where you wear it and how you wear it. So, for example, that beautiful colour that you've got on today, you could wear 100% of that colour because it's close to your face. Light bounces off our face and the colour goes up to here. Whereas maybe someone else with a different skin tone to you couldn't wear it close to their face, but they could wear 20% of it. 20% of it might be a bag, a purse, or it might be even boots in that colour because they're not close to their face, for example. So you can wear any colour. It's about the percentage of it that you can wear and where on your body you can wear it, basically.
That's a limited belief. So
Absolutely. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. But you need to, whenever you're putting an outfit on and you look in the mirror, you need to look at yourself and think, am I who I want other people to see me as? If you're looking in the mirror and you're hiding underneath something because you've put on a little bit of weight, or that you're just not very comfortable in your own skin at the moment, sometimes hiding underneath something has the opposite effect because it makes other people think that you are hiding something. So it then begs the question. We've had so many people, Serena, come to us over the years saying, oh, I'll book your styling sessions, but let me lose some weight first. And we'd say to them, okay, but what are you going to do in the meantime? Oh, I'll just wear what I've been wearing. But it's all about confidence. So if you're on a weight loss journey, your confidence, seeing yourself in big baggy clothes on a daily basis, is going to have such an effect on your confidence that it's going to be so low before you actually go shopping again. It'll be such a shock for you to see yourself in this transformation. So it's about dressing for the here and now. So again, for everyone listening, everyone can look like the best version of themselves, regardless of their shape, regardless of their size, even regardless of their budget. It's about finding a look and a formula that works for you and thinking, what is my message? Who do I want to be?
What is my message? Who do I want to be? Exactly. So it's more like the identity.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So you also work with, back to the age thing, you work with women from different age, right? So what is like oldest, I'm just curious, woman you've...
The eldest client I've ever worked with was 85.
Oh.
She was fabulous. She was in Leeds and it was a gift from her daughter. We had an amazing time. This is a long time ago, but I remember every client that I've seen because, like I said, they've just all been so unique. She was absolutely fabulous, ageless, and she was from a time where she believed you had to get dressed up all the time, that it was a sign of respect to get dressed up, that you should wear a hat for certain occasions, that your handbag should match your shoes. So we had an absolute blast shopping together. So she was the oldest. The youngest has been 9. So, and then everything in between that age as well. So it's been quite a journey.
It's really interesting. So we have a rapid fire round.
Okay.
I give you I give you keyword, one word. You give me a very quick one-word response.
Okay.
So ready? Freedom,
Happiness.
empathy,
Courage.
success,
Joy.
personal styling,
Pizzazz.
possess,
Yeah.
fear,
Limit.
purpose,
Life.
Elin.
Fun.
Happy and fun. I get a lot of fun. So it's another game is the time machine. So think about 10 years later. We take the time machine to 10 years later. Okay. What are the 3 things you have accomplished? Or think about the best. You mentioned best version self a few times. This is such a powerful concept, important concept, right? So when you are at your best version yourself 10 years later, what are the 3 things you think you want to accomplish?
In the next 10 years now? That's a great question. I've come to a point in my life where I have been so blessed to have worked with some amazing individuals that I want to continue doing that. I'll go back to that, shall we say. Because I obviously stopped seeing clients for a while as I was growing the company and was the CEO. So the joy I now get out of interacting with individuals from my coaching, when I'm coaching individuals, when I'm coaching groups. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is I want to be able to empower and enrich the lives of as many people as I can with my energy across the world. Give me half an hour, that's what I said with everyone.
Half an hour, very efficient.
Half an hour, very efficient.
And the second?
I don't know why these are so difficult, Serena. Do you know why? It's because I have so much that I want to achieve. I almost can't pinpoint it down to just kind of one thing. So being able to ensure that the business that I've built, I guess, over the last 20 years does still continue to thrive in some way. We're in a transitional period at the moment, and I'm almost at a crossroads myself. In terms
what is the plan for your business?
So the plan for the business is to shift a little bit more, and we're moving a little bit more online with the business and curating wardrobes for people more on a digital platform, but transforming how we work with individuals that travel the globe as well. So we basically get everything ready for them, for their travels, for when they're actually moving from one place to the next. There's a lot of work to be done, but it's equally as exciting.
Oh, okay. So you said you like in-person interaction more, so you are pivoting to the digital one, expansion on that.
Expansion on that. So you still have a connection with a real person. So you still have a connection with your stylist, but you get your lookbooks via your stylist regularly, basically. And they will still come to your wardrobe, but actually going into shops with people is going to be changing slightly. Yeah.
Is there a third?
A third? I think maybe a personal goal to keep getting fitter and stronger.
That's harsh to yourself.
That's what? Harsh! No, I love it. I got a text message the other morning from someone that hadn't seen me in years. And he said, oh, I saw you working out very hard this morning, Elin. Well done. And I said, oh, thank you. That's so nice to hear. You didn't need to say that, but, you know, it's very lovely to hear. And he said, yes, you're looking great. You're looking very strong and working hard. And that to me was brilliant. You know, it's because I do work hard and I want to continue to work hard as well. So I think working on myself from not just a physical perspective, but from a learning and development perspective as well. Always learning, always growing. And obviously with my own podcast as well, that I feel that, I don't know whether I should say this even, I will say it though, that it's almost every single podcast that I host, it's as if I'm getting a private lesson to myself, because the information that my guests share with me is so valuable. It's as if I'm having masterclasses with them. So I am so incredibly blessed to be doing that. So I'd love to do that a lot more. And obviously I love the filming aspect of things as well. Even last night, a show that I'd filmed, a transformation show, that I filmed for Welsh TV aired. So I'd worked with different clients, so 3 ladies and 2 men. They were coming on the back of a huge transformation journey, and I styled them and I coached them. And that was aired last night as well. So I absolutely love doing things like that.
I completely agree with that. I feel like I feel the same. Like every guest I was talking to, I feel like I get so much value from them. And personally, when I look back the video, I just like, wow, this is something inspirational to me. So yeah, so if we take the time machine back to your 20 years old, what are the 3 pieces of advice you will give Elin at 20 years old?
This is one I think about a lot, Serena. And I sometimes think I would tell myself, don't start a business.
Oh.
But
interesting.
I push that person out the way because they're not allowed to have a voice. And I flip it and I say to my 20-year-old self, network. Network, network, network. I think the question that you asked about, it's just come to me now.
Yeah.
The limiting kind of factor or belief that I had growing up in a small place is that we weren't surrounded with people that started businesses. We weren't surrounded with investors. We weren't surrounded with people that networked. I had a village of about 800 people maximum that I grew up in, you know? So the power of networking and building relationships and continuing to build those, I would have told myself at that young age, make more connections. You know, I have a best friend everywhere I go. You know, I only need to go to a cafe and I have a best friend. So I don't have a problem making connections. But I think from a young age, you need to make the right business connections. And at that age, I didn't know how to do it.
And second?
Second one would be take time off.
Take time off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hear a lot now about people saying they don't believe in work-life balance, or that if you love what you do, you don't need time off. You categorically do. I did not take time off for about 10 years when I started to build the business. I even remember I did not see a client, and I used to get up really early, go to bed really late as I was building the business. It was a difficult time because I wanted to grow it. I was hospitalized with a kidney infection at one point. And I didn't have anyone helping me at that time answering the phones. So picture this, Serena. I was in the hospital in a little garden, drip in my arm like this, picking up the phone. Hello, style doctors. Still answering the phone, being admin. And my mum and my sister were looking at me thinking, what is she doing? She's hospitalised with a kidney infection that turned nearly into sepsis, and she's still answering the phone. that made me realize that as much as I loved what I did, I wasn't looking after myself. If you don't look after yourself, regardless of how much you enjoy what you do, you need a break. We as humans need breaks. So if you can take time off, then I highly encourage it. And I should have been stricter with myself, and I should have had weekends off. But I think for anyone growing a business that they're so caught up in it, it catches up to you in the end. So put your health first, put your own time first, and try and build a life outside of your business as well. It's not easy.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk to the 20?
My younger self, yeah.
20.
I had a lot of fun anyway, Serena, so I can't tell myself stop having fun. Maybe I had a lot
I get it. Your keyword is fun.
Yeah, exactly. I had a lot of fun anyway. You know, just treasure each moment, because all of those moments make you who you are today. I will probably never be wealthy, but I'm okay with that. But I'm wealthy in so many other ways. Like
people have problems with having fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think people are generally afraid to let themselves go as well. That if you embrace each moment and you live in that moment and you're truly, truly at ease in your own skin, you can have the best time. I often ask my coaching clients, where are you today on a scale of 1 to 10? 4 is the most popular answer. 4 is the most popular answer.
Safe.
Yeah.
Safe answer.
Safe. And I often ask people, what do you need to do to get you to a 6? Then what do you need to do to get you to an 8, for example? So there are steps you can take, because people can visualize, and you can even close your eyes and remember, oh yeah, I was an 8 back then. I was an 8 back then. But what was different about my life back then? Oh, I didn't have this going on, or oh, I didn't have this financial burden, or this possibly wasn't going on. It is possible to get back to an 8 and a 9, but you need to visualize it, and you need to kind of think, what's different about my life now that I can get myself back there?
That's beautiful. So what is one bolder move for you this year?
One bold move, wow.
Yeah.
I think the life of an entrepreneur almost feels bold every day. That's the thing. My life is kind of constantly like this, basically up and down, up and down, up and down. I don't like to play by a rule book. So when someone tells me what to do, I'll push back. Not that anyone tries to tell me what to do anyway, Serena, they wouldn't dare. But I wanna push myself in ways that I wouldn't have thought about that I could even do, you know? I'm learning Arabic. I want to continue to learn Arabic. I'd love to be fluent in Arabic in a couple of years.
Oh.
I would love to take my...
That's a bolder action?
Absolutely a bold action. Yes, it is. But I think that I'm now so comfortable with who I am that I think the next Elin will be the next Oprah. Watch this space.
I can see that. Beautiful. Yeah, so we're going to end our beautiful conversation. So thank you so much. If it is one, just to summarize, if you need to leave one piece of advice for the women who are listening, and to live a more fearless, limitless life, to summarize, what is your advice?
I think for anyone listening, I think they should look in a mirror look at the person that they see right now and almost write a letter to themselves and say to themselves, who do you want this person you see in front of you to be? If you could write yourself a letter and you opened it up, what would that letter say to you? Would it say to you, wow, you took on those dreams and you made them happen. You didn't let anything stand in your way and you went for them. Or do you want that letter to say, yeah, well done, you were content. You just stuck with what you had. You just didn't move forward. You didn't progress. You just stayed where you were. What do you want that person to say back to you? As women, we often put ourselves at the bottom of the list of priorities. But when you put yourself close to the top of that list of priorities, I promise you that other things will fall into place. I've worked with thousands of women over the years that have put children, partner, career before themselves. And it has a huge detrimental effect on everything, their health, their well-being, the way they perceive themselves, their confidence. Try and shift that narrative and make you the number one character again. But ask yourself, what do you want for yourself? Do you want a legacy? Do you want to have left something behind you? For some people they don't, but that contentment is enough for some people, and that's fine. But just ask yourself that question.
That's wonderful. So last question, Women in the Penthouse, we're trying to redefine the penthouse life. Penthouse to me is, it's a symbol of success, right? Traditional success. But we think prosperity, abundance is more. It's more like your mindset. When you have a mindset of self-love, compassion, peace, then you have your own penthouse. So every guest will leave one penthouse rule at the end. So what is your penthouse rule?
Oh, I love that, Serena. That's amazing. You have to laugh so much until it hurts.
Amazing.
Is that okay?
More than okay.
The penthouse?
More than okay. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Elin. I think our audience and we get so much insights from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
If this episode speaks to you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit the subscribe button, share it with a woman who needs to hear it, and connect with us on social media to keep the conversation going. Your support doesn't just boost our podcast. It amplifies the voices of incredible women and creates a powerful ripple effect of inspiration. Together, we are building a community that transforms lives and inspires even more women to rise to their full potential, one conversation at a time.